My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
It was something along those lines. Like, he was like, it wasn't that bad. I never closed fisted her.
No. I'm sorry, Ferg, but it's not funny, but it just made you say, wow. He did an interview when he was like, sometimes she'll be walking around. I'd be like, what's wrong with you? And she said, and I asked her a second and third time. So by that fourth time, I'm tired of asking. So I had to try something else. Like, he thought he was doing the right thing.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I'm Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined with my co-host, Razi, the birthday boy, and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
Three Brothers No Sense has reached the White House. We did an episode last week about the shootings in America, the mass shootings, and what can be done about it. And President Biden heard that episode and said, you know what? Those three brothers are correct. We need to do something about these shootings and guns. So he held a presidential press conference where he urged Congress to do something about it. And I just want to know if you brothers saw that presser and what did you think about it? Do you think anything would get done?
So I saw it, and it was a lot of double speaking nothingness and political showmanship there. He really didn't say anything. He didn't commit to anything. He just kind of was there.
Yeah, he didn't even give him like an agenda to like pass. He just was like, let's ban assault weapons. Let's do something about background checks. Do something. Like he didn't even know.
Well, he was grasping for straws. It was one of those, can we at least pinch the scenarios? Like, can we do something? And no, I didn't see the whole speech, but I did see clips and did read a couple of articles on it. And I agree with Razi. Nothing's going to get done. It's a bunch of political theater. It's sad. We'll be here again soon.
Wasn't there another mass shooting like 2-3 days ago?
I feel like there's been one.
We're already there again.
I feel like there's been one every day. Some of them aren't getting as publicized, but like there's one almost every day now.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one at a hospital in Tulsa a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, one of the hospitals I used to service. So it's just.
Joe's speech reminded me of the scene on this We Own This City where the kid dies and then all the politicians show up to finish building the fence and everything. Yeah. That's what it is. It's not going to change anything. It doesn't actually help find the kid's murderer. It doesn't change anything about why the kid got murdered or anything like that. It's just, it's something that we can do and look good and get some politicize it and publicize it, but not actually affect or do anything to change anything. So
yeah, I don't care what side is saying it. Every situation is politicized. It doesn't matter how serious, how dire, how dark it is. Every situation. Razi brought up We Own This City. There's a scene where a guy is sitting on his own stoop and gets arrested because he's in a designated drug-free zone where nobody is allowed to loiter. That was Mayor O'Malley, who ran for president in 2008. I think he ran for president. But yeah, his thing was to get the crime low. And one of the ways to stop shooting is if nobody's outside, then they can't shoot one another. So he did that because he knew he wanted to become governor and eventually president. Everything is about politics. It's not because he cared what effect it would have on the citizens. He had aspirations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a awesome docuseries on Netflix called The G Word. President Obama executive produced it, actually. So it is super dope. They walk through a lot of the government policies and how it actually affects you. Like, that people ask the question, why is junk food cheaper than healthy foods? And they answer the question in there. They walk you through the government subsidies for rice, wheat, and grain. And since that's super abundant, super easily accessible, and subsidized and super cheap for the people, for the growers, it gets processed into all those unhealthy foods. And so that's why it's much cheaper on the shelves. So if the government decided that they wanted to make food cheaper, or healthy food cheaper, all they have to do is shift the subsidies from the grain and rice farmers to vegetable farmers. And guess what? Vegetables and fruits go down in price and they become cheaper. So now you can get a salad cheaper than you can get some Rice Krispie treats. But right now, that's not how it works. And so that's why junk food is cheaper. So it answers a lot of those questions through it. So it's a cool docuseries if you guys want to check that out. Yeah. I don't know. Rice Krispie treats are pretty delicious.
They're pretty delicious. And possibly nutritious. No.
Yeah. It got us through 8 months in Afghanistan.
Did get us through 8 months in Afghanistan.
We also ate Vienna sausages and club crackers.
I don't remember that. I've erased that memory from my head.
Man. It was dark days. Those were dark times.
You know. The Viennas. My griddle.
Yeah.
All right. That's all you got for us, Buff?
Yeah. Oh, shout out to one of our listeners that I think we had a question on how did the shooter get into the school last week's episode, and they messaged us. First off, thanks for listening, and we appreciate you answering that question for us because we did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and so for the listeners, there was a couple different versions out there. Some people said that a teacher propped the door open so he was able to get in. But then it came out that the teacher didn't prop the door. They didn't lock it behind themselves. And that was just a scapegoat because in most schools, teachers can't lock your primary entranceway. It has to be an administrator that has to lock it. That's kind of, normal policy in schools. So they're trying to pin it on that teacher, but it really wasn't on that teacher. I mean, I think it was just a failure of the system.
Okay, before we go too far, let's spend about a minute and a half, 2 minutes revisiting this scenario. Let's take the teacher out of it. Boy, there has been some rolling downhill for this police department.
That's a light way to put it.
It is. Wow. I mean, I'm hearing so many different stories. I mean, I don't know how true all of them are. Even where the police entered the building, got their kids. It was like, cash me outside.
Threatening to arrest parents for speaking out. I mean, it's crazy, man.
Wow. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very interesting to see how... I don't even want to say the word is going to be interesting because at the end of the day, there's no winners. I feel like even if they find the police officers or the department to be at fault, nothing's going to come of it outside of maybe some financial. Let's put it this way. I don't think there's going to be any winners, right? In this situation, best case scenario, if they find the police at fault, there might be some financial compensation to the families. I don't think there's going to be any legal, I don't even know how you correct it.
They may be able to. The later shooters or victims may be able to do some civil cases against the police because they didn't act right. So yeah, there probably is going to be some legal stuff there, but there won't be any criminal. No criminal stuff. And I'll tell you what's going to happen.
Are they going to still have a job after this?
Most of them will. The leadership may go down. So you may see the chief or something like that, or sheriff, I think, because they're a county. The sheriff may get replaced, but that's a political appointment anyway. So, or I think they run, right? So so that probably will get replaced. And what I will see and what I'm kind of projecting is they're actually going to get an increase in budget because they're going to be like, oh, we got to train them better and we got to make sure that they are ready to do this and prepare for this. And I see the police budget actually getting increased off of this versus defunding it and moving that money to somewhere else because the largest parts of most cities' budgets is their police forces.
That's That's all I got to say about that. The words of Forrest D. Gump.
The Greek. But oh man. So you guys know I reported that Winnie the Pooh had gone into the public domain. So the original Winnie the Pooh is over the 75-year copyright timeline, and so they have gone into the public domain, and people are using Winnie the Pooh for the weirdest crap. So there's a new movie that's coming out. It's a horror slasher called Winnie the Pooh. What is it? Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And Winnie and what's the Piglet eat Eeyore in it. It's like super dark, it's a B movie, homemade or whatever, but that's what happens when stuff gets in the public domain. You can kind of do whatever you want with it.
Is he wearing pants this time?
He does wear pants. It's like some overalls or whatever.
Okay. And so it's the movie's out already?
I don't think it's out. I think it's like a trailer and some stills out right now.
Have you talked to Allyson? Is she okay?
Yeah, it's bad. Oh, in other news, the Red Ranger has been indicted. Indicted! You guys remember that from
No.
Fun with Dick and Jane? No? Fun with Dick and Jane was a great movie if you guys haven't seen that.
Back to the Red Ranger.
Yeah, back to the Red Ranger. He got indicted for fraud. And so I'm just going to blame it on that butt whipping that the Green Ranger put on him for a whole week when they first introduced the Green Ranger in Power Rangers. Y'all might not remember that, but so in the original Power Rangers, when the Green Ranger was introduced, he literally beat the brakes off of all 5 Power Rangers for an entire week. Traumatized me as a kid. I didn't know heroes wasn't supposed to lose like that. And they were beating the brakes off of him. So I blame that. So it took him down this dark path. And so now he's going to jail for wire fraud. So just throw that out there.
Wow. Are you okay?
No, I'm not. I don't. My heroes, man. My heroes just, it's worse than Bill Cosby at this point.
You gotta pick better heroes.
I don't know who to trust.
You got trust issues now. You gotta pick better heroes, bro. Pick better heroes. So I'll stick with theater, I guess, or entertainment. Finally, did you finish watching Stranger Things?
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't watched season 3 or 4.
Okay. Just Stranger Things is out for a lot of you guys who are playing catch up. Season 4 was pretty good. They left it with a cliffhanger. And I think they come back July 1st, so I'm waiting for that. So if you are watching it and you have a chance to catch up, and you have about a month to catch up on before they finish, I think, season 4. What else is going on in the news? We finished out. Hopefully we get our nappy.
Right.
Voting ended, Monday?
Yep.
So for all the people who supported us, thank you. For Inspire You on air, good luck as well. I hope you guys get your nappy so we can be there together. Want to stop again? We didn't formally get to say it last week. Happy birthday, Razi. Did you do anything special?
I died, bro. I'm still half dead right now. But yeah, shout out to Haley. She put together like a surprise dinner, took me to Perry's. And so I thought my frat brother was just gonna we were gonna just kind of go hang out. And we pull up at Perry's. Bruh, I'm like, first of all, with me and my line brother just hanging out, we ain't going to nothing that's dimly lit. I'm like, bro, why are we at Perry's? Like, we can't go to a sports bar or something like that. So like the dude, we pull up the valet and the guy opens the door for me and stuff. I'm like, this feels like a gay date. I feel like this is a gay date.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, but I wasn't ready for it. Like, yeah, have y'all seen that skit where the dude was talking about how he accidentally went on a gay date?
That was hilarious, by the way. That was hilarious.
So yeah, I felt like that.
Were you at least dressed nice? And
I was dressed nice because we were supposed to be going out after or whatever. Okay. But yeah, man. So I walked in and the family was there. Pooh was there, the kids. So a couple of frat brothers was there. So it was just, man, it was a good time. We drunk, we ate. Moved it on to a little cigar bar, then moved it on to a club. So we went real hard last night. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all the love on Facebook, the text messages, DMs, all that. Thank y'all. I appreciate that. I do feel like I got some happy birthday handsomes, and so I was like, is that synonymous to good morning beautifuls? Like, I don't know. Were they shooting a shot? I don't know. But
well, shoot it back.
Yeah. I'm just like, whatever. Let's play this game then. Cool. But yeah, man, I loved it. I had a great time. So I appreciate everybody. Appreciate the love. And shout out to everybody who kind of made my day special.
All right. Well, special shout out to Haley, because Haley did reach out, and I'm sorry I couldn't make it. You know, I had a lot of stuff going on this weekend and just trying to prepare.
Same.
You know, but she did reach out to us, and she did let us know what was going to happen. So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. Great job, Haley.
Yeah. Oh, and Buff, there is Wagyu beef in America. Perry said that. Perry's actually gave it. So that was my first time having like true Wagyu, and bruh, it is
that $100 burger we had was allegedly Wagyu as well, but it
may have been U.S. Wagyu. Yeah. So most times, if you get a burger, it's probably not going to be true Wagyu. Like there's a Texas Wagyu where they use some of the techniques to make their Texas Wagyu, so it is more tender than like regular Angus or anything like that. But what I ordered last night was what they call a flight, so that you could tell the difference. Mm-hmm. And so it had a 3-ounce Angus, 3-ounce Texas Wagyu, and then 3 ounces of true Wagyu, and you literally can tell the difference in those cuts or in those meats. I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to be that much of a difference. But when people talk about Wagyu melts in your mouth, it literally, you have a full steak, but when you cut it, it melts in your mouth.
There's a very expensive restaurant in Miami I went to a couple of weeks ago called Poppy Steak. They have Wagyu pastrami as their appetizer. Very good. And listen to you saying you didn't want to go to a dimly lit restaurant with your homeboy. My coworker that went to Miami with me, he was telling me about this restaurant called Sexy Fish and how it's very exclusive. I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to a restaurant with you called Sexy Fish. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Me and the missus got to do that one. I can't do that one.
Man, you could have tested it out for it, man.
Oh, man.
Is that where we're at now? The homophobic against restaurants?
No. And by the way, once again, officially happy birthday, Razi. And to the listeners, he has his thighs out all on social media. So if you follow him, he is definitely treating you guys. This loser has his thighs everywhere now.
But it's funny though. It looked like you had a good time, because when I first saw you today, I'm like, you look like you just came from a walk of shame. He has a big T-shirt on. Like, hey, baby, you got something I can wear? Somebody gave him a T-shirt or something to wear last night. It's all his. These are all jokes, but and I'm not shaming the walk of shame.
No, at all.
No. Is that it, Phyllis?
That's it, man.
I think that's it, man.
All righty. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. Who has the first question for the day?
Birthday boy should go.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. So I don't know if you guys have heard, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case has been resolved, and Johnny Depp won. Amber Heard has to pay $15 million for defamation against him. They did find that one of Johnny Depp's lawyers defamed Amber Heard, but that was kind of a side little thing. I don't know if she even got any awards or anything.
She did
for
get
it.
something from it. I can't remember that, but it was
$2 million, I think.
But it's small. $2 million.
And they dropped his five. There was 2 different suits, one for 10, one for 5. They dropped the one for 5 to, I think,
2, and so
it was like 400,000. I think he's supposed to be awarded 10.4.
Oh, okay. So,
but still a win.
Yeah, it's still a win. So my thing is, after that case, and I didn't follow it very, very closely because it was kind of annoying, but you did hear a lot of stuff about kind of toxic relationships and how like both parties do stuff to each other. So I wanted to kind of get you guys' thoughts on like domestic violence, and we've had kind of conversations about it, how you sometimes it's hard to jump into a DV because you don't know what's really happening there, but like guys being battered or in like violent relationships and stuff like that, what happens and why do you guys think guys stay or don't report it as much as women report the domestic violence? Because from some reports, or some assumptions is that men experience domestic violence just as much as women. They just don't report it. And so I wanted you guys' thoughts on why that is. Why do you think we don't report it as much?
I think it makes them feel less of a man to even let someone else know about it. I think they also feel like they won't be taken seriously or even believed. And I think those are the main two reasons. In fact, I think that is in like different studies, the reason why men don't report is because they feel they won't be taken seriously. But I think, I don't know, it just, when you look at the traditional sense of a man and a woman, for a man to say, hey, my woman is hitting on me or beating on me, abusing me, I think to some men that still doesn't sound right or whatever like that. So I think it has a lot to do with that.
I agree with everything Byron said, and I think it's even deeper to the point where it's not even admitting I don't think they acknowledge it. You know, if a wife or a girlfriend just slaps the crap out of a man one time, he got slapped. Just end the discussion. He got slapped. He wasn't beat. It's not domestic violence. It's none of that. It's almost to the point where I think some men can't put themselves in the mindset of being the victim in the situation. It's, she slapped me, I must have did something wrong. And then it's a point that let's peel back the onion. Now that I think about it, it's the fact that I think we normalize we rationalize that men getting hit or whatever is acceptable.
Or violence against men.
Violence against men. It's
because two men fight, it's not a big deal, you know, that type of thing. I think, violence against men is kind of like, meh.
Because if a woman hits a man, I wonder what he did. It's victim shaming. I very rarely have heard a situation where a woman has put her hand on a man and then the general public was like, oh, shame on her. It's, he had to do something. And so then I guess that goes to the point where maybe he doesn't want the rest of his business out there. Because if she hit me because I cheated, or she hit me because I did this, or he rationalizes being a victim. Like he makes her the victim again, I think. I've seen guys like, man, well, I did cheat, or I did do this. And so they make excuses for the situation rather than, I don't care what you did. She shouldn't have put her hands on you. The same way we say there's no excuse for a man to put his hands on a woman. That double standard doesn't apply for men.
Yeah. It's sad because I was thinking through this and not even on a physical thing. I think a lot of times men end up in relationships where they're not necessarily physically assaulted as much, but the emotional torture happens a lot for guys, right? Where you think about it just becomes nagging, right? It's nagging, but it's, if she's not getting her way, there's an attitude. It's this aura in the house that, she didn't get her way, so now I'm walking on eggshells. And that actually is a very toxic relationship, and it's borderline on kind of a horrible space to be in. I mean, if it happened at work, it'd be a hostile work environment. But because it's in your home, there's no real word for it, but it's that part of it. It's still abuse. Yeah, it's still abuse, but and it's emotional abuse, I guess. But
we've normalized it too much. It's, if this woman nags, that's just how she is. It becomes he can't deal with a strong woman. He can, it becomes his burden to bear. But if the shoe was on the other foot, it's completely different. It is, he can't talk to her like that. He's disrespectful. If we want healthy relationships, we have to learn how to do balance. And the same way we encourage our men to get better at dating and loving and marriage and, protecting women's emotions and feelings and all that, we have to acknowledge that that's the same thing for men. You can't, I used to call it, we talked about this before. I say anything that holds happiness hostage in a relationship, like if you're nagging, if you're just a mean individual, that's just how, just how Razi is. No, Razi is a mean, spiteful, vengeful individual. Like, that's not healthy in a relationship. And to challenge me as the man or the husband because I don't deal with her attitude or whatever, well, you make me less of a man. It's not encouraging healthy relationships.
In that report, when you said it's just as many men as women, that's including like the verbal abuse and stuff we're talking about, Razi?
Yeah,
okay.
Usually, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. I figured that. I can see that.
Yeah. Because
I was like, man, is it really that many women putting their hands on their men? But if you include emotional and verbal,
yeah, but like Ferg just said though, it probably is just as many women putting their hand on men. It's just ignored.
Yeah,
it's not because it's not considered domestic violence if she hits you or she slaps you or whatever.
And I don't know the numbers, so I'm not saying this is fact. But I probably, if I looked at my friends who are married or in serious relationships, I would be surprised if more men in those situations have put their hands on their wife or their girlfriend than the opposite. I feel like, and I'm not saying that the women are beating them. I could see her poking him in the head. I could see her slapping him. I can see any of those situations.
I've seen that. Not just like, I have seen that.
So when you think about it, it's those situations. If you do 1 for 1, could he do the same thing? Could he poke her in the head? Could he slap her? Could he do the same thing? I'm not saying I know the numbers, but I would not be surprised if it's very similar or not higher. Because I know women who put their hands on men. And it might not be to hurt him. And I think that goes back to the original question, is because we don't feel threatened like we're going to get beat up or, put in a hospital or whatever. It's, she got upset, got frustrated, and, she was hitting on me, beating you in the chest or whatever, whatever it is. I feel like that happens more than we think. Or we acknowledge. Because would you be surprised if you took 10 guys and you said, "Dog, man, she got upset and she was hitting on me and stuff like," would you be that surprised if that happened? If 10 guys got together and they told you that two or three of them said they lady did that, would you be too surprised? But if 10 guys got together and said, "Dog, I had to slap the shit out of what's her face last week," you were like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah, it stands out more.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, which is why, my whole saying, when they got the right to vote, they got the right to catch these hands. And that really is because it's like, and it's because of that, like, I am never going to put my hands on anybody, right? I know I'm not. So I expect you not to put your hands on me. If you I'm probably going to allow, a single slap, a soft tap or whatever. But if you hit me in my face,
a single slap,
I might hit you back.
A single slap to the face.
But why? So my thing is, you brought up the question. You're enabling.
Yeah,
I guess I am too a little bit, because where I draw the line. I draw the line at spitting. Like, you hit me in my chest or my arms, whatever. That's cool. Do not spit on me or in my direction.
I agree with you, because,
and don't slap me in the face either. That's no.
See, that's what I'm saying. Because I've seen women slap guys.
But any of it, no matter where you draw the line,
they deserve a Hadouken for that.
The fact that it has to be levels to this as a man. If you call the police on your wife, your girlfriend, because she's beating you in the chest or she pushed you, you seem like a punk. To the police, to her family, to your friends, like you, dude. The court of public opinion is going to make you look like crap. And then the question is going to be, I wonder what Byron did to make her do that. Tapper don't do that. Like that.
And that's the problem is guys are backed into a corner because we don't have any way to stop it. We can't call the police because, like you said, everybody's going to be like, you're a punk, yada, yada, yada. And then you can't hit her back because now you are the domestic violence guy and you assaulted her, even though you were responding to what she was doing to you. So the problem is there is no outlet. There's no way out of it.
So scenario.
Leave her.
I call you tomorrow and I say that happened to me. How do you guys advise? What do you... Dog, man, me and Z were arguing about the wedding. She just slapped the shit out of me, dog. What do you say? What do you tell me to do?
I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm like, I know Z loves you. Like, it's a one-off. Like, you can change her, Ferg. I don't know. I really don't know at that point.
First of all, the first thing you're going to say, Razi, is, what did you say? That's going to be your first question.
Yep.
Once again, but it goes back to your victim blaming. Like, we're trying to find a rationale to support her actions. But at no point do we even get close to doing that. Dog, man, we were arguing about the wedding. I ain't even hit her hard, but I just pushed her, dog. Dog, what the fuck were you thinking? That's your response. You know, if the situation was on the dog,
you can walk away.
Once again, it's, and once again, we're not condoning violence against women or men or anything like that, but it's how do we create this safe space for both parties where we just, for one, women realize that there's no excuse to put your hands on a man either, just the same way you have emotions and you feel hurt or betrayed. We have those are human feelings, human emotions, not a male-female thing. And then we have to have that safe space. I just asked my co-hosts, my brothers, what they would do. Neither one of y'all had my back.
Yeah.
Y'all team Z already.
We got
both scenarios.
We got your back. It just you asked us what we would tell you to do. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna say, "Man, you need to leave her." You know, but she definitely.
Y'all would probably tell her that.
If she slapped you in the face, I would say, "Well, she need to go talk to somebody, like ASAP, because that's unacceptable." And I have a real life situation where I just had that conversation with somebody, and I'm like, "You need to leave the house." This, that, and other, because I'm sorry, when people start doing that, I don't know if it's a one-off. How can you say it's a one-off? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get frustrated and mad at somebody again in the future. So it's tough.
I appreciate
That's a good question though, Razi. Yeah, that's a good question, Razi.
Appreciate it.
All right, what you got for us, Buff?
So I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about Young Thug and Gunna a little bit as far as them being indicted on RICO. But as you know, it's been determined that rap lyrics are now allowed to be used in court. So I wanted to know what you guys think about that, because I feel like that's racist and a bit unfair. But you got some people that say, hey, they point to Young Thug and Gunna and say they were really doing what they were rapping about, so it's fair to use that against them. But I don't think we're ever gonna we've seen actors that have we just got through talking about abuse. We've seen actors that have been, arrested for abuse and things like that. So if Lawrence Fishburne, who famously played what's my man name? Tina Turner's Ike Turner. Right. He played that role. Okay. And he winds up being accused of hitting his wife. Are they allowed to go to that movie and say, well, you did it in this movie, so yeah, you probably did it in real life? Is it fair for rappers' lyrics to be used against them in court?
It depends on the lyric. I really do feel like that. Like, there are some songs that literally describe what they're doing, right? And so if I have a RICO case or I have a case on you and I say that, hey, this person ordered this hit on this other person and you got a song that said, I ordered a hit on such and such person, like, yes, I think that's admissible at that point, right? Like
episode.
Right. You know, like I think that makes sense. Versus what I don't want to see though is them try to use the lyrics to characterize and to paint the character of the person. Because that's actually what happened in Sherman's case. If you don't remember, they used his lyrics and they tried to use that to paint him as this person that would do the shooting. That's the part that I don't agree with. I don't think we need to use it to talk to the person's character or talk to the person's intent or motives or anything like that. But if they directly say I did this thing and it directly attaches to the case, then I think it should be admissible. So I want to strike a balance there, not necessarily say yes or no.
Well put.
It's tough because I think we're splitting hairs. So when you said the Lawrence Fishburne thing, that's a script based off of a
real life
situation that somebody else wrote.
Although Ike Turner said it wasn't that bad. He said it wasn't that bad.
Maybe it wasn't. You know, we'll never know.
Yeah. I never close-fisted her.
That's not funny, Razi.
I think that's what he said. No, I think that's what he said. It was something along those lines. Like he was like, it wasn't that bad. I never close-fisted her.
No. I'm sorry, Ferg, but it's not funny, but it just made you say, wow. He did an interview when he was like, sometimes she'll be walking around. I'd be like, what's wrong with you? And she said, and I asked her a second and third time. So by that fourth time, I'm tired of asking. So I had to try something else. Like he thought he was doing the right thing. Not funny, by the way.
It's not as bad as I thought. It's not as bad as he made it seem. You know. What I was saying, but Lawrence Fishburne, it's a movie. These guys have the ability to create their character, create the life or the image they want to portray. The same way, and I know I'm gonna have a lot of haters on this. Same way some of these rappers are trying to promote this thug life, whatever. It might not get them arrested or used in a court of law, but it gets them killed because you're putting this image out there. Like you have the ability not to be this person. You're telling me what you did, and then you're like, if you said you did it, I didn't say I did it. I said, what if I did it? Almost like O.J. Simpson's book. If I would have done it, it's like, come on, dude. Like you could have wrote a book about anything else, but you can write a book about if I would have done it, and you still wonder why people think you did it. You portray this image, you sing about this image, you walk around looking like this image, you hang around. I mean, you do it. I mean, why wouldn't I believe it? Why wouldn't I use this? You're basically giving me all the evidence I need. But because there's a catch-22 where I can't necessarily use your lyrics and you can get away with it. So give them a mulligan from now on. We can't use any lyrics before July 1st, whatever day this law goes into effect against you. But if you say some dumb shit moving forward, dude, I can't help you. If you say you shot John and John ends up, I'm gonna shoot John and John dies. Dog, I'm just saying, you're my first suspect in the shooting of John because you wrote a song called "The Shooting of John." Like, I don't know what else you want me to do. Like, now I look like an idiot. I wonder who shot John. Nigga, I shot John. Like that's the name of the song. I don't know. Why would I have enough, put it this way, I have enough stuff in my life to worry about than rappers feeling like they are being targeted in court for crimes that they pretty much said they did in their lyrics. Or they're portraying an image and it just helps build your character. Just like saying when they use social media to build your character, a character against you, like a case against you. Like he had a picture with him with guns, drugs, money. I think he's a drug dealer. I mean, I'm just assume that's just basically what he put on social media. you have a song about drugs, money, and guns, I'm assume that you're a drug dealer. The same way I did when you posted it on social media. I don't have any remorse. I don't. Is it racist? It's just, we set ourselves up for that one.
The reason I call it racist is because rappers aren't the only one that are making music about criminal behavior. Yeah. And this, this whole using lyrics, like it's what Razi said. It's always been used against rap. We saw it in the Tupac trial. Like, you raped that woman. I mean, you got thug life on your stomach. You rap about thug life, so of course you did it. So I agree with Razi. It definitely shouldn't be used to characterize someone. But like you said, Ferg, if you have a lyric where a guy named Mike was shot 3 times and the police think you might have did it, but they're still investigating, and you come out with a song that says, I shot Mike 3 times on Thursday at 6:45 with my Glock, that probably could be used against you. You know what I mean? But I call it racist because you look at what happened with Murder Inc. and them and the feds saying that it happened with Death Row too. Death Row Murder Inc., where their record labels got started with drug money and things like that, and therefore it was a criminal empire. Okay, if that's true and you're gonna punish them, why aren't you punishing Interscope Records that is in business with Death Row? And like, it should be all inclusive. I mean, that's how you do other criminals. But Jimmy Iovine's of the world are not ever getting in trouble for any of this. They'll go after Suge Knight. They'll go after Irv Gotti and all of those type of people. So I just, I see racism in everything. Go ahead.
I see where you're coming from. But do you think these people you name were still involved in the same activity as a Suge Knight?
They wasn't.
Just because I know Suge Knight.
It doesn't matter. If you're in business with a drug dealer, a known drug dealer, then you are subject to.
I'm involved in his clean business, right? I'm involved in the record label where I see records being produced.
Money laundering is illegal.
I don't know where his money's coming.
Money laundering is illegal.
I'm not money laundering. I'm signing contracts. I'm paying your people. I'm giving you everything I said I was going to do. I did. I don't know what I can't. If you told me you got a $500 million investment from some oil baron in Dubai, all I can do is trust you and take that $500 million and do my job.
Ignorance is not an excuse to not be prosecuted by the law. I mean, Pablo Escobar's tax man would get in trouble just as much as anybody else involved with Escobar.
Okay. I don't see that. But he works directly with him. He's like, I don't see those as the same company. Like, I don't see Interscope as the same as Death Row. Interscope and Death Row, right? It was Interscope and
it was Interscope and Death Row.
Murder Inc.
And Murder Inc. Might have been Interscope too. I'm not sure.
So it's now they might have some legal ramifications. Like, they can have some backlash. I'm not saying they're completely. I have 200 labels under my belt. I can't know whatever. My things were clean. I handled the artists. I did this, and this. Now, if they were using the studio to sell drugs and launder women and all this, I don't know. But because I don't want to just make excuses for, well, if the white people ain't going down, we shouldn't go down either. Like, dog, you're telling on yourself. At least I'm smart enough not to tell on myself. Like, this is what it goes back to. Once again, they're telling on themselves. Mm. Snitches get stitches. You snitch on yourself. So I can't.
Trying to get that street cred.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't go to jail, what is happening now? We're seeing more and more rappers die. Which, honestly, if you think about it, probably gives more credence to the lyrics.
And I will,
like, if this is false, then why is everybody getting shot?
Right. And I will say this to kind of go away from my question for a bit. That type of energy does bring more negative energy. When you carry yourself a certain way like that, it's something that I rejected for a long time. But as I've gotten older, I believe if you carry yourself as, this thug gangster, people gonna try you. People are gonna try you and test that. Oh, you are, huh? I mean, Lil Wayne found that out in LA a long time ago. It brings negative energy, and that's something that they tried to tell Tekashi 6ix9ine. He would not listen. And now look at him. And even with Young Thug and Gunna, they tried to tell them the same thing. Like, either be an entertainer or be a gangster. You can't be both.
Yeah. And Jay-Z said it best, right? Like, the point of the hustle is to get out of the hustle. You're trying to get out of the game, and you've made it. You know, you are Young Thug. You're Gunna. Y'all have like platinum albums and record sales and all of this, and you're like still trying to stay in the street for some reason. Like,
and like the older rappers, they were doing their thing. We know, but they painted a picture. They, you know, like it was. They weren't giving you all the details and stuff like that. And as they made it, they started talking about different things and they grew out of it. We're talking about the same thing. I'm talking about a gun charge that happened last week. You know, it's too, like, they're literally throwing it in the face of people. And like I said, all these recent shootings of rappers and stuff like that makes it easier to believe that they're living the life they're rapping about.
Yeah, that's why we need to bring Haitian Jack back. Fix all this.
So for me, my question is, it's a weird one. Not a weird one, but it's one of those Ferg. I'm deep. So Razi, do you have a birthday cake and all that stuff?
Nah, we didn't have a cake.
Okay.
The kids were kind of disappointed about that. They were like, when's the cake coming out?
Okay.
We was like, I'm 41. We don't do cakes anymore. They didn't understand that.
That's a lot of candles. But when you had your last cake, do you still make a wish when you blow out your candles and stuff like that?
I do, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
So my question is kind of be about that. But I'm going to start with the first part. For you guys, what does true happiness in your life look like? And then the second part is, well, I'll let you answer that first, and then we'll come to the second part.
To make it a short answer, good health, family safe, and we're not wondering where the next meal is coming from or how the bills are going to get paid. All three of those taken care of. For the most part, that's happiness.
Yeah, I think it's generally that same. Happiness for me is not having to worry anymore. So, like you said, the family's safe. We can eat. You know, money's coming in, and being able to do that for a long time, right? Being able to, I always talk about at 60, I want to be able to walk off in the sunset and retire and not have to worry about working anymore and everything. And so I think happiness for me is just not having to worry. And so that's why I'm happy now, because I have those things. I have stability at my job. I have stability at the house. I'm financially stable. The kids are happy. You know, they can jump into a bed with me and just kind of hug up and cuddle up. Like, you know, I don't have those family dynamics where me and Haley could be estranged or you know, she's not talking to me. And so it's like, I'm genuinely happy because, you know, my daughter would plan a surprise party or dinner for me and was willing to pay. Actually, at Perry, she's like, "Ooh, $99. All right, I'm gonna do it." And she was willing to pay for me. She didn't. Somebody else picked up the bill. But you know, just having that where she's financially stable enough, and I've set her up. Me and Allyson. Shout out to Allyson too. But we've set her up where she can do those things, and she's responsible with her money, and she is, you know, comfortable in life. And so I think all of that rolls into that happiness, man. It's just not me. It's seeing my kids grow and be happy and be stable, just like me being stable.
So with Razi, but pretty much said he's happy. Would you consider yourself happy?
Yes.
Okay. So very similar to you guys. You know, I feel like those are the things: security, health, you know, the love of my family. Those are the things that make me happy. And I feel like I'm generally a happy person, just being honest, because I have all those things, but I still find myself wanting more. Like I'm always pushing for more. And so my question to myself, and I guess this was in my second question, is like, am I as happy as I think I am? You know, am I happy because I tell myself I'm happy, or am I truly happy? So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, right? To figure out if you're happy or do you want more, and do you want more because you're unhappy? And I think that's really where you have to kind of find it is you wanting more caused by you being unhappy, or is it just that you're a driven person, you have goals or whatever, so you're like, okay, I gotta get to these goals, which it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not happy now with what you have. It's just that you have a vision for what you want to go to, and so you can have both. You can be happy now and still be driven and want more. Okay. So you just need to figure out what is driving or pushing you to want more. That'll let you know if you're happy or unhappy now.
Okay, I like that. So my real second question is: so we just told us about you guys are happy. What makes you happy? Back to the wish. Let's go back to Saturday night, June 4th, 2022. Razi has a cake with 41 candles in front of him. He blows out those candles, and he has a chance to make a wish about how he would like his life to be. What is that wish, and does it align with this current life that you said that makes you happy? Same thing for you, Buff.
Well, as Razi ponders, I'll say this. It's human nature to always want more. I think nearly everybody always wants more. It's just that what separates them is, are you willing to do the work to get that more? Because some people just sit back and just say, I wish I had a Bugatti, or I wish I had an i8 like Razi are going to get one day. But they're not going to do what it takes to get it. So I think wanting more doesn't necessarily mean, just to elaborate, it doesn't mean that you're unhappy with your current situations. As far as making a wish and what that life would look like, I mean, in a perfect world, man, I wouldn't have to work. I could just wake up like Diddy said, watch Scarface every day, travel, and drink and eat as much as I want. But realistically, man, I don't know what I would wish for that. I mean, I guess just more of what I have. You know what I mean? Like, more money is always good. More time away from work is great. So things like that. So it'd probably just mostly be more of what I have to give me the time and access to do what makes me happy even more. Like, I love to travel. I love to travel even more. I love going to live events like boxing. I love to go to more boxing events. You know what I mean? So
having that more time.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm gonna go the Aladdin or Genie from Aladdin route. Can't bring anybody back to life. Can't make anybody fall in love. What was it? I can't remember the third rule or whatever. But no wishes for more wishes. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with one of those three. So that bringing Jen back or my dad back or anything, those are off the table, right? And so at that point, I really would wish for probably a C-suite position. That's my ultimate goal. That's where I want to be. I want to be a chief HR officer, chief operating officer, something like that, of an organization. So having that C-suite position, I think, is the last little thing that I'm still striving for and working towards, because pretty much everything else, like we said, is kind of taken care of, right? And I don't want to rush the kids out of the house or anything like that. Like, I might wish they were a little older so I wouldn't have to watch them as much and all of that. And so I had more time to travel and do what I want to do because they're older. But I'm enjoying these years that they are still small and want to be around me and all of that. So I think that's the only wish that I could kind of think of, is that getting that C-suite position now versus 10 years from now or 15 years from now, when normally somebody matriculates into one of those positions.
Great wishes, fellas. I like what both of you said, Byron, especially where just more of what I have or more of what makes me happy. I think that's really good. Razi, with you, just striving to be the better version of you probably earlier, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason I asked that question is because I always think back, I always reflect, and I always talk about I peaked late and had things happen late, and in my mind it's like, man, I wish I would have been able to graduate faster. And then I look at every time I change one thing, it's the butterfly effect, right? It's, if I would have graduated faster, I would have never met Z. And then there's no kids. I'm out in Houston. There's no three brothers, no sense. Like, everything about my life is completely different. If I, had more money, I don't know how those things would affect my life. It's be careful they always say, be careful what you wish for. Like, I really started thinking about that. It's, if you took that C-suite position, would there be more time away from the kids right now? Mm-hmm. Could you handle, it's like, man, I got the C-suite, and now it's, you look back 20 years from now, it's like, I did it. I had that C-suite position. I'm retiring. I'm doing this. But the kids wish they would have spent more time with you. All those little things. And it's trying to enjoy the here and now more and accept where I'm at. And the good thing is you guys weren't trying to completely change your lives. I've asked that question to some people, and they were completely changing their lives. This will make me happy. And then you look up, like, bro, you forgot to mention your wife and your kids. Your life is completely different. You're 6'8". You play basketball.
That might be like my coworker. That loser said, "Hey man, if I ever won $130 million, I'm gonna just give my wife 30 of it and just tell her have a nice life, because I already know I ain't gonna be no good."
You're winning. We would have seen this. You won, I won. It is what it is. But it's understanding that the things we wish for a lot of times sound so good, but when you sit down and think about them, it's not really what you want. And it's easier to not accept, but find happiness in your current position, right? It's find happiness in the here and now. Keep improving. If you're not happy, work on it. But all those other things, I couldn't think of my life being much different. Same thing, Razi, the 3 Aladdin rules, bringing people back, making people fall in love, and more wishes. Can't do that. But same thing, it's a little further along my career, some financial stability as far as retirement and investing and building my legacy for my family. But along with Byron's, just being able to do what I love more, spend more time with my family, and build and teach and, travel and all this stuff, but still be able to do it, and it doesn't take away from any of the good things that make me happy now. Because if I travel more, if my kids aren't traveling with me, now I'm away from my kids more. If I'm into boxing and, Z don't like boxing, and I'm going to all these boxing matches, but it's draining her because she doesn't like to, do that. But it made me happy. It's just a very unique question. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and then once again, listening to Will Smith's book, which I just finished. Awesome book. I tell anybody, if you get a chance. It actually made, if you look, I think it made his actions make a little more sense. Mm-hmm. If you read it. But that's it. I'm happy. Really don't have a lot of wishes, realistic wishes, because I think she asked him what would he do. What's his wish? And he came with this one thing, what would make him happy. And when he thought about it, it truly wasn't that way. It sounds good until you really think about it. All right, fellas, let's go ahead and close it on out.
All I got, man, is we talked about domestic violence and the Johnny Depp trial and the defamation stuff. And what I'll say is, folks, general, men, women, whoever, if you're in one of those relationships where you feel like you have to walk on eggshells, if you feel like you can't do anything to make your partner mad or whatever because they're going to explode, and not even on a physical, like we talked about the emotional abuse, anything like that, if you feel that way, get out of that relationship. Hands down, you need to exit those relationships, because your peace and your happiness is more important. And I see a lot of folks that talk about, I stayed because of the kids and just another, and I'll tell you what somebody told me one time. It's like, look, it's better for the kids to be in a stable environment that they don't see that every day than to be there and have 2 people in the household but have to live through that. So don't use the kids as an excuse to stay if you're going through something like that. So please, please, please just get out of those types of relationships, exit them, or like Byron said, at least get in some type of therapy to work through them and address the issue. Don't just do it. And fellas, don't feel like you're backed in a corner and you don't have any recourse. If you need to call somebody, if you need to call the police, if you need to, and if you don't feel threatened at that moment, go ahead and exit this relationship, do something, but don't feel like you're backed in a corner where you have to stay and you have to allow her to emotionally abuse you or physically abuse you if that's what's happening.
Because fellas, I feel like that's a part of why it ends up going to that next level. It's that built up aggression, that built up toxicity, that built up, and I'm not saying that I'm blaming women or anything like that, but I can see that nagging and all that stuff, just the minor little physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse that you're going through for each person that you just overlook, and it comes ahead one day, and now you find yourself in a situation where you're becoming the assailant. You're the bad person now, and now you're going to jail or you're ruining your life. So if you don't leave, get some help, do something different. Buff, you had something.
Well, no, I was going to say, well said, Razi. Well said. I hate to even have to go after that. Mine is a little less serious. I just want to say happy anniversary to The Wire. As you guys know, that's my favorite show of all time. It made 20 years since it first started. And I just want to say that 20 years later, there are still people who think Stringer Bell was like this smart drug dealer. I can't believe you guys are still fooled by that, because he wore a suit and went to an intro business class at a community college. He was not that smart. He was a snake. He's the one that told Weebay to try to get the money. He's the one that let another crew set up on his turf. He's like what we were talking about with those rappers. He had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, trying to be like this business person and a drug dealer. He's the one that broke the Sunday truce and made Omar get back on his crew, which caused them a lot of problems. Stringer Bell was not that smart, and we as a society need to stop being fooled by the clothing attire of someone. It's why we only believe commercials when someone is wearing a white coat saying that they're a doctor. It doesn't matter what they're saying, but they have to put that white coat on before people to believe they're a doctor. Every political commercial, we see them with hard hats on or, dressed, like the everyday person so they can relate to the everyday citizen or whatever like that, when their policies speak nothing to that at all. But because of what they were wearing, we believe it. A suit doesn't make someone smart. It doesn't make them any less of a criminal. In fact, some of the worst criminals wore suits. So don't be easily fooled by optics. And if you need one more example of how Stringer Bell was not that smart, he got played by Clay Davis. That sound like a smart person to you?
Tell him how you really feel, bro.
That's all I got, man.
you sound a little perturbed. I have a couple of things. First of all, want to take a moment and say happy heavenly birthday to my father, who passed earlier this year, Kenneth Carter. His birthday is the same day as Razi's, June 4th, so it's Saturday. I got a bunch of texts, calls, Facebook posts, DMs, everything from friends and family. Appreciate everybody. It was I'm not going to say it was a tough day. It was an emotional ride, especially the beginning of the day. I finished Will Smith's book yesterday morning on my drive to our picnic, which at the end, he has a segment when he talks about the death of his father, which was befitting. And I had to make a decision if I was going to listen to it that day, yesterday, or just wait till later. But I felt like because of the situation, it was just perfect timing. And it did give me some peace in hearing his words. But thank you, everybody. Happy birthday, Dad. And with that being said, I think I'm going to take a step back. Happy Men's Health Month. 1. We mentioned this. I talked to you guys about this earlier, or mentioned this. I do want to try to get a male health provider, somebody who has a focus in men's health, as well as, and or put it this way, a male therapist to talk about mental health as well. So if we can get both of those guests on, one of those guests on, if you have anybody that you think would be a good guest for the Three Brothers No Sense show, because we definitely want to talk about those things. Because we're, as like I said, I reflect a lot of seeing our black men. We're dying at a young age, you know. We're dying in our early 60s and stuff like that. And as we get older, we're starting to see that more and more. And it makes me think about our mortality, and are we doing the things we need to do to be here for another, you know, when we look at a lot of these people. My dad was 62 when he died. That's another 21 years from now. I would love to be on this earth a lot longer than that. You know, when we look at, you know, Razi, your dad died young. Byron, your dad died young. Yeah. You know, like when we're real, like when you start thinking about these things, is it a combination of the way we live with our health? We're not taking care of ourselves, as well as our mental health and stress and all that stuff. That's part of the reason I asked a question today about being happy. Is I think, especially as black men, there's this unspoken stress that we put on ourselves, that we need to learn how to deal with, and I'm working on dealing with, because I want to be better. I want to see my family succeed, but I want to see my family succeed, if that makes sense. I want to be here to see it. So with that being said, last but not least, I want to say to our brother Sherman Cooley and his brother Cedric Cooley and the Cooley family, you guys are in our prayers. Sherman lost his dad this past week, and his services will be this upcoming week in Mobile. So Louis Petway, his father, passed, and we're going to end the show with a moment of silence for him. And after that, we'll see you next week. Three Brothers No Sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment. Most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.